Oh, he's got a
Is it, that doesn't go away on that image?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Okay,
Go up to annotate,
yeah.
and then over the far, which is under the far right.
Okay.
No, don't shop here.
Now I have to, there we go. There we go.
This is mine. Actually. Down.
Is that water dripping off the beach? Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, was this like a sunrise, sunset, early morning, late,
It was
early morning? Okay. Yeah, yeah, the way that light and shadows is hitting
I
her.
can see why you're getting. Right. Yeah, I know. Makes sense. Bruce is gonna be able to do a class on carrying gear. How to pack that? Any
He knows a lot of what not to do outside work.
So, see the little thing in the feed,
Yeah, let's get a piece of grass.
and the life of her and that little kid not blowing that thing out, right? Where's it at? Right, the mother's feet.
And the mother's
Little
speak,
white
there's,
thing?
Yeah.
He's
Content
Oh,
aware.
yeah,
Just only real
just
small.
take the lasso tool and go around it and hit fill, content aware fill. Zoom, hey, can you zoom in at 100%, Mike? Let me
Yeah.
see that. Zoom all the way and keep going. Just, I don't care if it's blurry.
it won't, on this here, it won't zoom.
You can't go to like 400%.
Let me see.
Yeah, if you go over to the, hit, E,
My eye.
and then go to see it where it says navigator. And that says navigator. On
To the left.
on the left.
Yeah.
Where it says fit, go to, no, go further over where it says fit.
Gotcha,
And
gotcha.
then change, you'll have to go to the drop down. Change that. Look at the right of that. Keep going over, keep going over, it says 67 or whatever it says. No. Keep going. There's two little arrows. Trick that, there you go. Yeah, now go. That's what you, oh yeah, yeah. Try it, yeah, you can get that out.
Yeah.
That's, They just click on it. It might take 2 tries to move it that way. Yeah, yeah, for full screen. See.
I-
78% or something. Yeah. That's a good image.
Mhm.
Now we're back to, oops, sorry. There we go.
So I used to live in North Texas, and this is big North Texas, 15 minutes from my house. I driving around one night, saw this big, huge, massive wheat field, and wanted to come back for sunset. And I came back this night, and it was the greatest sunset I've ever seen in my life. It started all the way over the eastern horizon, and coverage just went completely across the sky. It was amazing. I didn't think it was going to happen because there was a lot of clouds and some storms in the area, but I got lucky. I mean, pretty simple. I had to clone a couple things out all the way out in the distance, but these two trees were kind of in the middle of this field with the sun obviously setting to the right. It was some kind of night to cover, but
Good sky.
yeah. I've had a lot of failures that happen by now.
Hey, Chuck, or there is the horizon.
I don't think so, but it could be the rolling pole.
I think it's, yeah,
That's what I think it is. When I'm looking at it on my screen,
Because
and
the tree
I think
on
it's
the
pretty
left
close.
Is like where it goes up to that tree and then starts to move down. So it could just be the.
It's still maybe one. Try to take down the highlights, just a tinge. Going out. Or do you know if that's,
Yeah, it's right on this TV.
yeah, I'm kind of looking at.
Yeah, on the screen here, it doesn't look quite as, right, there's a little bit of a difference.
You can actually see a little bit of, detail in there. So yeah, drop, maybe play with the highlights in that area, give the detail to show up a little better, maybe.
But I like the kind of the light hitting some of that, to me anyways, on the foreground area too, and that, on the crops and that, I think that looks kind of neat too in there. The details in through that look really good.
Yeah, when you got down closer to the. Yeah, it's some vertical, from the light, from the gentle, more over the trees. I always tell people that eye level is great, but you want to move the camera up and down, and if you can emphasize, because like if you look at the way that the frame in the foreground, like some of it's cut off like half.
Mm.
So if you can get down low, you can get off a little bit more detail. I mean, there's 1,000 ways to shoot, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not just giving composition. This is mine too. This was taken last fall up in Rocky Mountain National Park, Bear Lake. Just doing a hike and I noticed this one little aspen trees. And just, there and, composition and I'm going for that. And it was,
So on Michael's computer, the colors are a lot more vibrant. The yellows aren't going out like they are up on the screen.
Yeah, it looks either brighter or a little bit more saturated or something like that. It looks, like you said, it looks a little cleaner, and I like the tones that show up over here on this screen. And on this screen, like over there, like the trees that are kind of white, some of the ones that are up there are much brighter up there than they are here. They're much more subtle on this screen.
On this one thing you want to try is the two dead trunks, the lower left at the very bottom edge of the image. Maybe try cloning those out so we don't have a bright spot down at the edge.
Yeah, and there's probably different crops too if you wanted. I mean, it looks fine with the length up there, but maybe even crop it into, trying to think of where the crop would be, but somewhere in there, so there's not quite as much of that space on the top.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, it looks great as is, but if you wanted to take some of that out and get the eyes even more squarely on the point of interest, the aspen trees. I think I was up there probably just a matter of a couple days after this and that. If this was Bear Lake, I was up there in that area a couple days last year also. But yeah, I like, again, the way that the light really brings that section of it out is nice.
See, I like how there's plenty of forests above it.
Yep, yep.
Further into it, because it almost gives you that smallness of
Yeah, yeah.
just this isolated little bunch, right? It gives you, kind of gives you the grander scale, so I think.
Yeah.
I like having now that all the trees surrounding it.
This-
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for, because that was
Yeah.
the only color in the whole scene. I wanted to go farther out, but unfortunately, if I went any lower, the road got into the picture. so.
Right.
I also like it's shows a little bit of depth with the banding of the, the dark, the light, the dark, the light. the dark.
Mhm.
And you can even maybe, I don't know, even enhance it even more with a version. Really try another version, but this as is does show a lot of depth with the fans.
Mhm.
Did you vignette that?
I did, it's not really showing up too well on the screen, but I just.
It does show better on Michael.
Yeah, on here, you can see that, again, bringing the eyes into that, the area that you're bringing it into, it's a little bit darker on the edges than what shows up there.
It's a really good shot.
Okay, this is mine and this is here in Africa, and this is a cemetery book.
Ah.
And I don't know if there's anything I can do with it. 'Cause I haven't done anything to it.
Maybe some vignetting around it to kind of pull the background and pull it a little more out of the background.
So darkening some of
Yeah.
the, what's back behind there, so it really stands out against that background.
Yeah.
But it's not, I mean, I'm just looking here on my screen, and the eyes are nice and sharp, which is, and it's evident up there too. It's great.
So I really suck it well at photography, but I would normally give the bird a little bit more room. But like I said, I'm not good at that. So the background is so easy to increase the canvas size if you really wanted to do that. Because you can just, like Darren said, some increase the canvas size and just do some content aware fill to make it bigger, just to see if the version is bigger in front.
Yeah.
It would make a difference. You do it too much, then you have a bullseye with the bird. You don't want that. But it's a sliver more.
What about just an extreme crop right down onto the head so that you're not looking at the body anymore and it's just all about the head off to one side and the eye is a central part of the photo.
Right.
Something like,
Okay, well, maybe we can try that. I just didn't know if just a headshot of that.
That one's got enough character in it,
Yeah,
That bird just wake up.
yeah.
You know what? I don't know. And he was the only bird I saw with his feathers spread out. The rest of them, because when they probably they're all laid down in the back.
Is that like when it gets startled or something that it doesn't?
Yeah, and they're always running. It's hard to get a shot of those, but they're always running.
Eat snakes.
They're mean.
Hmm.
They're big.
How big? Yeah, I was just gonna ask that. Really?
Oh,
Okay.
oh.
Wow.
That's a lot of meat.
That's,
And this is mine too. This is
I'm gonna say the same thing with the vignette. Yeah, though, especially the top behind him.
And that's a bright part of the scene
Yeah.
that's back in there, and that kind of pulls. And again, it does look a little bit better on this screen
Yeah,
than
it
up
does.
there. But
Yeah, maybe just a hair darken in the background a little bit, so that way they them in the foreground pops off the image a little more.
We're only vignetting, but maybe just pull a gradient down from the top.
Yeah.
From the bottom.
Yeah,
Gradient.
Right.
Enough room on either end. On the left and right end. I think it's been tight on the left.
that's pretty cool image.
Yeah, yeah, and as a group of three, I think, to me, it looks like it's got enough room on this, both sides.
You can test your Photoshop skills and the one in the middle, have him put his head up.
Well, we have a lot of butt fishes. We actually made a butt foot.
The, what is it, puppet warp? Is that the,
You know, I bet this would be pretty cool in black and white.
She doesn't do that. Hit the
I'll
VT,
work on it.
hit the VT, what the hell? We're not driving. F and then V.
which one now?
Yep. V, and V for black and white.
Yeah, it's not, I don't have
Are you
the,
in your, you're not in develop, are you?
I'm not in the
Oh,
development.
that's
mode,
right.
Right.
Sorry. Are you still sharing your screen?
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah, he shared his screen.
Yeah.
As the green bar is going. Sorry for that.
But it says,
Top left
You are
navigator,
screen sharing.
Full screen.
The layer, Control T, transform, and pull that white space down out of the bottom.
okay.
So,
Yeah, I was just gonna-
run that by us. So in Photoshop, you create a duplicate layer. And then you Control T, that's free transform, you grab the bottom of it. And then hold the shift key and pull the bottom down until that black goes away, so that the light fades out of the frame,
Hmm.
fades into black. Or you could just crop it.
So it's like a, almost like a reverse gradient, so it lights back up.
No, what I'm trying to do, I would
Stretch the
pull the black out of the frame so that the light faded. See how it fades from orange to black?
Yeah.
Right.
So that would be at the bottom of the frame. If I'm using the free transform, I don't lose my file size.
See, but I'm guessing he's actually done that on purpose.
Oh, I'm sure he did, but that's just a suggestion.
Suggestion to have it, so you still are maintaining some of that detail all the way down to the bottom, some of that, that orange, and as it's fading
Yeah, I just.
to that.
For
Right.
me personally, I feel that there's too much black and white.
Got it.
Because the top is bright, and then you have this band of black.
Right, right.
That's just my.
Left side's low.
Yeah, the horizon is a little bit off. The left side is a little bit low, it looks like here.
So, friendly tip for everybody. Most, all of our cameras have a virtual horizon. I recommend using them. And then you don't have to deal with, unless you have like a curve in the background. Like a straight horizon. Still haven't seen one of your pictures yet. At the very end, sure. B.
I used to have a right side lower on every one of my photos. And I was like, my eyes must be crooked. Then I realized that every time I press the button. I
Oh,
pull
that's
the
a
camera down on the
shifting.
right side. It's like,
Same person.
Same person, so this is somebody who's not here tonight.
I would just
I say he's a little off the left edge. He's got just barely part of a tree over in these branches.
I was trying to get rid of the little ones that are sticking up.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw that
always try
too.
to Clean up, like the one that's right underneath the bird,
Right.
the one that's on the right, left side, that little one that's sticking up between the two big ones. Probably the one on the feathers, I would get rid of that too. Just a little bit of, somebody called it a digital gardening.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then put a big sunset moon behind it. I think because that blue sky is super easy to mask. So we can just remove that.
right.
Put the moon in there.
It's a well photographer. I mean, I've seen this picture 1,000 times. The problem is it's been done before, right? And so a bird on a tree sitting alone is okay, but what you want is a bird on the moon. These things have to be the laziest birds on the planet.
But if you go to Bar Lake and you spend an hour and a half driving there and you're happy to see an eagle, you're gonna take a picture of it.
But see, but you drive there at night when you know it's just about feeding time. And then they're gonna move finally, because I've been to Bar Lake and they go, there's an eagle, you gotta run over there. I'm like, those fucking eagles are feeding me." Be there all goddamn day. And so you walk over there casually and it's there, and you leave 4 hours later and it's there.
Yep.
You know, they're not gonna do anything until, 5 o'clock.
Until there's a rabbit on the
They're
ground or
so
something.
lazy that even if you see a mouse running by and they're, no, wait a couple of minutes. So just go at the right time of day and get them in motion.
Yeah, but maybe somebody wanted a picture. I mean, it's not about always comparing yourself to somebody else. It's about getting the image that you like. That's why I'm not a member of PTA. I'm not gonna confine myself to their 12 rules in there. But yes, we've seen this picture. There's the
There's the
moon.
moon.
Done deal.
Oh, he calls it.
Oh, same person, same
He's already got
photographer.
it. He's already got it.
So it's just a matter of blending those two
I
together.
will say that I like to take my full moon shots either 3 days before the actual full moon or 3 days after the actual full moon when they're in that light blue sky. That makes everything much easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
You try to put the black sky in, or it's just not gonna look right. You're gonna take a lot of Photoshop work, but if you use that light blue sky right before sunset, or right after sunrise, when the moon's setting, it's real
Yeah.
nice.
That's true with all blue hour stuff. I mean, have you ever seen Christmas lights in the blue hour versus nighttime? It's like a world of difference, when that ambient
Oh,
balances
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
any type of lighting, it's just so much better.
It's better color chemistry.
Yeah.
And,
And it doesn't even have to be, any, it'll be neon or, any kind of light balances. It doesn't have to be one. It doesn't have to be 3,200 Kelvin warm or anything like that. You can go 6,400 neon works too. It's just beautiful with blue hour stuff.
and to Darren's point, Darren was talking about how getting the moon shots a couple days, few days before or after the full moon, how you get a different scene with the blue sky. I can say that with the infrared photography, it comes out much better on that day or two before or after than it does on the full moon, right on the horizon, right on that day. Throw a few clouds in there and it really works in infrared. But to your point, for things like this, like if you're going to try and blend that in with that with the eagle on the prior scene, this one would be tougher than the ones.
Is the moon noticeably less round?
No, not necessarily. I mean, to a moon aficionado, but the difference between a 98% full moon and a 99% full moon, not enough difference for me to say no about it.
Yeah, on the one day before or after, it's still pretty full. It's still, like you said, if you
can
really
time
look
it
hard.
Like usually depending on the sky conditions, the second or third day before or after, you can get the moon right in the belt of Venus. And it's gorgeous. And then the next day it's like up a little bit high,
Right.
down a little bit too low, but there's that one day where you can get it right in the belt of Venus. Man, those peaks and blue. Crop that top part out. Make it all.
So you don't, yeah, so Darren was saying crop is this the same photographer, Bruce? Okay. So, this one, Darren's suggestion was just crop the top part of it, so it's all really tight and,
Blue sky. Yeah, just send it off to the good boy. No, they just threw a bunch of pictures here. So go for it. Is there?
It's my cousin's.
Okay.
son.
Oh.
yeah,
I
these,
don't know why.
these snow geese, I was out, eastern Colorado a few weeks ago when there was a cluster like this, and it's something else when they all take off at once, when they all lift, noisy and, chaotic. So,
On the positive side, I mean, true white without being blown out, true black without being a pile of ink on the paper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really well balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put that up, you know, 24 by 36 scan there.
Mike, this is Jeff Scott. I can hear you just fine, Mike, but I really can't make out the comments, so they can blast me if they want to. I won't hear them. I've been trying to work on my monochrome photographs.
Just
Part-
Yeah.
Can-
just for
can-
fun, there's an apartment building in Paris, France, that do that too, where you stand on the lawn and then make the lawn straight, building tilts to one side. Yeah.
let me see
Yeah.
some.
That'd be fair.
I'm gonna be right there. Let me see some. real quick.
What was that comment, Mike? I couldn't
He's
hear.
online and I think he's trying to speak and I just can't hear it. Let me see if I can get how do we get that audio up there, Bruce?
Can you hear me now?
No, he's not, and I can hear him slightly talking, but it's the voice is real low.
I've got my volumes up as high as they go.
Problem is in the cloud.
I was saying, Mike, if you, can you hear me?
The clouds are always cloud horizon.
I mean-
Turn it, there, we got the cloud.
My computer volume is way up.
Alright, and what's your output? Click on that, click share. Go back to your output again.
You know what, I'm gonna go home.
No, back up to the top, your speaker output, what?
Ah.
Speaker thing.
Yeah.
No.
Can you hear me? Is that any better? Is that any better?
Back to your speaker icon.
Is,
Swipe up top.
I've never
In your-
taken that
in your
photo.
task- in your great
I
task
was
bar.
there and I saw it.
Okay.
And I
It-
got home and then I saw something.
Your speaker.
Yeah.
can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah. it's really
Okay, that's what
cool.
you do have, okay. I was trying to, that's what I wanted to be.
Hello.
Yeah.
Output volume is up. Input volume is.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me, Mike?
Click on that where it says, by the mute up there on the top, a little microphone for down there. Built-in headphones, you just click on built-in headphones, click on the click share.
Right above
Right
it.
above it.
Okay.
There. Now, if you have them talk.
Yeah, Jeffrey, I think.
Yeah.
See if we
Can-
can. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
it's
that
not
better?
echo.
Hello?
Yes, yes, yeah, much better.
Okay, great. Sorry. I was just saying that I've been trying to work on monochrome. Partly because I'm partially colorblind and stink at color. And I thought Cole's talk was inspirational. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And this is a crop from an earlier photo that I took, a tree at Red Rocks. And I can't hear the people in the audience, Mike.
No, I'm not muted. Yeah, that's the,
Microphone sitting here.
Yeah, that's what
we were talking about that. Sorry about that, Jeffrey, and others that are attending on Zoom. We were talking about that earlier of maybe needing to soon get a microphone that we can put in here. Because right now, what it is those that are close to my computer can hear the voices coming through here on the input, but we don't have a
Yeah.
speaker that, so when others are participating and all the comments from, valuable comments from others here in the group, I know they're probably not coming through very well.
Right,
So-
I could only hear you, Mike.
Okay. So apologize for that. We'll try and have that be something that we get fixed
No
down the
worries.
road.
No worries.
Would you crop any of the lower part, or would you keep that whole scene in there?
I don't,
My eye keeps going to that one. Cloud in the sky. It's the real thing.
Yeah.
The one over there to the left, the
Yeah.
streak that and maybe it's a plain trail or something like that over there. Yeah. So what?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, and this is an honest question because he mentioned he was colorblind or had some color blindness. So was his intentions to make the image red?
Yes. So the question that okay, Darren was asking the question with regards to the color issue and the color blindness issue. When we look at it, there's a tone of red in there. So I don't know if that's something that you see or don't see, or if that was intentional.
It was not, and I don't see it. I'm actually red-green colorblind.
Okay.
I don't know how that got in there.
Well, it has kind of a pinkish tone, I would call it,
Yeah.
right? It's
It looks like a, one of the tones in color or silver effects.
yeah. So Darren was saying, like, in the various tones that Silver Effects, the Nick Silver Effects software has, you can have different, sepia and some of the other tones. There's one of those that has kind of a redness to it. He wasn't sure if that was something that you had used here, if that was intentional, because it didn't go just pure black and white. It has some pinkish in it.
Now, I don't know how that happened.
Okay.
It looks like it looks like he did. Infrared or modified camera.
Yeah. I was going to say, this looks like my infrared before it's been converted black and white is much like that. And then the other suggestion that a couple people had was there's that little bit of like a streak over there, kind of that white streak on the left. I don't know if that's a cloud or a.
Yeah, I think it's a cloud. Yeah, I see it. I don't like it either.
Yeah, the thought is that would be fairly easy to clone out or out in probably Photoshop versus Lightroom and that, but taking that out, just in that it's a little bit of a distraction. The clouds up above the tree are nice and soft and even. That one just kind of grabs the eye a little bit over there to the left.
Okay, good point.
Sky might have been pushed just tinge much because you can see fringing around the. So if you back down off of that,
Yeah,
or
let me try and do that here real quick. The branches up on the top may have like a little bit of haloing. All right, that's going to be the.
go to the 400, just click the color of the navigate thing. There you go, there.
I just have to learn Lightroom
don't waste too much time on
So yeah, a little bit of that, and that's bringing out some of the noise that's in there too in that. So if you can see it there, there's a little bit of like the kind of the haloing. So the
Yes,
thought
yeah.
was maybe pushed a little bit on the,
Is that
on the
contrast? Is that what does it?
sharpening is one of the things that will
Too much texture,
be in there, texture sharpening
clarity.
and clarity.
Okay,
There's a easy way to fix the halo.
What's that?
It's just a dupe layer in Photoshop, darken blend mode.
Yeah. Yeah, you've demonstrated, yeah, I've seen Darren demonstrate it.
Next to the,
Oh,
and then just follow it.
And
Go around.
yeah,
On the dark mode, because the panel. Instead of light.
yeah, only applies to the lighter pixel.
Blend mode.
And you're using the clone stamp and you're pulling from and going the areas adjacent to it.
Yeah, whole two. Example for us, some of the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you demonstrating it once before. What we're talking about here is that Darren has a technique for reduce or eliminating those halos around rocks and around landscapes. But it's a Photoshop deal that we'll cover in a different meeting.
okay, thanks.
Great, thank you.
Water drop.
Water drop. This yours, Bruce?
And I ran it through Topaz Studio. Like, I know,
You didn't paint a face on it? Could have been a man.
One of 8,000 water drops. Anyway.
Sorry.
Oh, wow.
If you want to take yourself off of mute, if
Oh, they can't hear me? I'll bet if I come off, well, let me see if it.
or is that going to echo it?
I don't want-
How about now? Because I muted that.
Okay.
So, yeah, anyway, water drop stuff, and then I ran it through Topaz Studio to, thanks to Carino. Because it was like, okay, it's a water drop picture, but this, I can't remember what filter it was we applied, but anyway, just kind of looking for, I mean, I did a border in Photoshop, maybe the color's wrong, pulled color from in there, and then is it, crop good? Is it interesting? Is it not interesting? Start over.
If you get the blue streaks.
I feel like it's like a woman looking away from you, like maybe she has her hands in front of her and you can't see them. I feel like something's missing. Like,
Like the explosion?
Yeah, maybe some.
well, I mean, come on, Bruce is posting a picture. I don't expect him to have the whole crown.
Oh, I have plenty of those. I just want to do something different.
Oh, yeah, I just,
Because it's just about to touch that other.
it looks like a head and body to me. That's just, I just can't get that out of my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
The little blue line down the outside of the water drop, it's like you got all the blue lines and everything in the water drop, then you get the one that's outside to the right on the bottom.
Mhm.
It's I don't know, it's kind of distracting.
Distracting. Okay.
Like it's like misplaced.
Yeah, because again, it was the Topaz Studio filter that added that, but
Now, Bruce, I have this is a serious and honest question.
sure.
Did you buy one of the little machines that does the water drops and then it hooks to your camera and it triggers it to take the picture, or did you just? try
No,
it?
I use the Pluto dropper. There's no way you can catch it. Well, I shouldn't say there's no way. It's harder. It's much harder. But no, that's from a Pluto thing that, you had to, and then the strobes are set up and all that stuff. And primarily we spent a lot of time trying to find the timing to get the certain looks that we wanted. It's the Pluto trigger works. You'll get one shot and then it's 4 or 5 that don't work and then one that works. And so it's still kind of hit or miss. It's not dialed in.
how are you making the water drops?
Well, you have a tube, right? And then you have the little thing, and then on their app, you set the millisecond delays and the drop size in milliseconds and so forth, and you push it all through, and you can do up to 3 drops. So this was a 2-drop setup, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, and then we were using just plain water. We were using glycerin or anything like that to thicken it up. So, I mean, you can spend hours doing this stuff, trust me.
Were you doing the drops into like a bowl of water too? like
Yeah,
the-
and we've
the
colored it, we've done milk, we've done a lot of different stuff. It's kind of fun.
Mhm.
Our next thing is to get the sound trigger to work for blowing up Christmas ornaments with a BB gun. We did a few of those, but we
I'd like
haven't,
to come to that one.
it's kind of fun. We did some, but it does make a bit of a mess, but we have with the timing, what we tried before the trigger is 1, 2, 3, and then everybody just hits the button and, does a burst and you shoot. And yeah, you get some cool stuff, but
Yeah.
we're trying to get a little more scientific, I guess.
What would you title this?
I called it Balancing Act, but
Oh, okay.
that was
There
the
you go.
title I gave to it, but obviously it was lost on this group, so.
Yeah, I can't get the human thinking out of my head. It would have to be something with like prayer or meditation or something for me.
Would you go with Easter egg on the top? It looks like an egg.
No.
No.
Egghead.
All right.
Flip it the other way. No, I feel like the head is tilted and she's thinking about something, like she's like looking out, contemplating, something. Like that's,
So should
Like
I,
you're thinking more of a sculpture than a water.
yeah, I just can't. I mean, I know it's water, but
it doesn't represent that to you.
The ears are missing.
it represents a human to me.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Okay. That's what these things are for. Just get some feedback.
Turn it upside down.
It's a nice.
Yeah. There's Mike's favorite.
There's the
Yeah.
dog.
So you have to put up with our dog here again. So, so this one I photographed, just, my nephew's kids were out a few weeks ago, and, while they were there, down in our basement, the little girl was playing with the dog, and I didn't set this pose up or anything like that. She just went ahead and, did that herself, but it's just window light coming in from the left. Maybe a little bit harsh, probably would help if she were maybe turning her face a little bit towards that direction to kind of maybe even out the light on her. But I wasn't really thinking about those things when I took it. I just kind of shot and then shot it obviously in color. And then this was the black and white conversion that I made.
Split lighting.
Right on her face, just the way that it's, like I say, if she was angled a little bit more the other direction, it probably would be a little bit more even on that light.
So people pay good money for that, though.
Yeah. So on the right side, right by your elbow, there's a little white spot on the blue eye.
Yeah, I
And then
see
there's
that.
a
Yeah.
little bit on that thing behind her eye too. Just, I mean, it's.
Yep, yeah.
Just light enough to hold you away. But like, you should have a little cloud, like a cartoon cloud of that striker's head, like, how much longer?
That's not what's happening.
It's too bad that the dog bed is. up there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let me say that I just absolutely appreciate you're at dog level.
Yeah.
And that camera angle is just brilliant. I think it's great.
You know, even though the dog bed is in it, this is one of those weird cases where for me personally, it doesn't bother me because it matches the angle of her arm. So it's all going, it's parallel to it. So the dog is in the middle. So it actually creates a little bit of depth that I don't find distracting. I might tone it down a little bit, that highlight right on the top.
Right.
But other than that, it's, because this is one of those things like, okay, she's laying on the dog, I got my camera, I'm gonna take a picture. If she would have laid on the dog and you would have been like, oh, could you do this, or could you do this, or hold on, I gotta move this, you could have missed the moment.
Right. And
So
that's
this
sort of
is-
what
This is one of those
was.
things like,
right.
I got the picture, you know?
Did she try to put striker in her suitcase? And
No, we had a lot of fun though out in the, it had snowed a couple days before that, so we were making snowmen out in the backyard, and we got other pictures that I didn't share on in here on that, but it was a fun couple of days. But to Darren's point, this wasn't something that there was any kind of an intentional pose, or there was no direction from me, let's do this, let's do that. She just sort of did that, and I just took a couple clicks, but
So you got a couple of white spots in your left.
oh, it's up there, yeah,
I probably give
Yeah, so I
a
don't know what-
couple
yeah.
of Straight hairs in my head, but
right,
Yeah,
Right.
One that was sticking out on the side.
kind of flyaways where they,
Digital mark.
that's digital barber, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
we
a
can
digital
garden, we can
color.
barber, we can shave. We can add things.
That's great. I mean, it's all about emotion. You just nail
I
it.
would really love to see us have one night, maybe not an exhibition night or not, but where people bring in an image like this, and then they bring in the original. So we look at the original raw file,
Hmm.
and then we look at the process file. Just because we're all at different levels, not only photographically, but we're all at different levels post-processing. And it's kind of like, if you don't know that you can do it, then you won't do it, or, I think it might help some people if they could see, well, where did they start and where did they finish?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right,
You know?
right.
How far can you push it?
Right.
Well, like, we kind of had that where we posted like one or two images, and then
Yeah.
everybody took a shot at it.
Everybody took the same two images and processed them in
yeah.
their different ways.
And that was good. That was really fun. I enjoyed that a lot. But I'd like to see where we bring our own images, because
Mhm.
when we're sitting in front of the computer, we're scanning 1,000 images that we took on a weekend trip, and we're like, okay, we're gonna process maybe 5 of them.
Right, right.
So what is it about the raw image that caught our eye and said, okay, we
Oh,
can
yeah.
do something with this and make it into this?
Right. Yeah, that would be, maybe a good idea for one of the, like you say, one of these exhibition nights is
May.
do it.
May
Maybe the,
18th.
May 18th, we
It's
could do
the
that.
before
or the
and
May
after
18th, right?
night.
Yeah. Before and after night, basically, the group participation.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that. I think that'd be a blast.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Done.
They're really Bruce trying to wreck it.
Chuck will be the.
I'll make the rules.
So I guess when I put my border on, I didn't intend to crop that top. I just saw that. So I got this fancy action for Photoshop borders. All I got was the action. I didn't get the direction.
That's like me and my drone. I got the drone and I had no instructions on how to use it. I set it up. It's like,
This is one of those PPA things, but anyway, long story short.
I like the detail.
Is,
in the-
is the PPA thing, is it, they want the border?
They like, yeah, they're big border people, and I,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it, cause it's like a 40, not 40, it's like a 7 or 10 step macro view, whatever. Anyway, long story short, you did, yours, and cut yours off, and I was gonna fix mine. I'll have to do more on the canvas side.
Yeah, because that's where you do it, is that there's a process that,
It gives you 3 stroke. Yes, this was that, we were taking pictures at, down in Alamosa, and so there was a bunch of cattails in the early morning, frost. I liked it, this is
Yeah.
one I like the most.
Let me ask everybody, like, what do you think of the crop? I mean, for me, usually, dead center is deadly, right? But on this one, it's so symmetrical, right? I mean, you have a 1x1 crop. You have a round thing, you've got a stick in the middle. This is one of the few instances where you can really get away with just putting it smack dab in the middle. I mean, and I appreciate the current crop because it's it's nicely off balance, and you got the dark side kind of balancing it with the blue on the other side. But what do people think about that?
I think that if you had the cattail before it exploded, and just, it was the brown thing, it might work better, but because of all the fuzzy stuff on the left-hand side on the bottom, I'm not sure it would work. I'm not saying it wouldn't. I'd have to see it, but.
Yeah. And I missed it. I tried. it was,
Yeah.
I'll have to try
I
it.
would rotate too, see all the way around and see which position you like better, because it could be like a roasted stick like it's hanging over a fire or something.
Okay.
You know, or you could put just a tiny little crescent moon up there in the corner. I like moons. I like
Yeah.
moons. Well, it just adds a little something to it.
Now, if you had an eagle sitting.
Oh, yeah, shrink that one down and have it sitting on top.
He would have cropped it off.
Now, I did, the birds were picking the stuff off of that to make nests with, and I tried to get some of them, but my shutter speed was wrong. And I have some bird pictures, but they're kind of furry.
Next time you try it, Caroline can show you.
Yeah, it's just.
I think it's a great image, Bruce. This is, you're.
Well,
I really
thanks.
like it.
I just have to fix the top, either take the little stick out or put it back in
And you
there.
can get rid of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And there's a way to do those borders where it retains the same image that you had to start with
Right.
without.
yeah, I just been playing with it, so, okay, thank you. The next one is the world famous photographer.
I like the blues and gold. Oh, this is a.
Is this a Carino?
No,
No, this is mine.
Oh.
And-
Has a, the topaz.
There's
Topaz Studio,
there's a
yeah.
topaz
Yeah,
seal to
yeah.
it.
But
Yeah.
my shutter speed was too slow for that bird taking off, so
I like
I
it.
just thought I would do something.
I think we need
The
to
painterly
level
look.
the horizon where the grass meets the water though,
Yeah.
that's getting me,
Except then their clouds are gonna be at an angle.
well, I know, but, I don't know, that's a tough one.
would you crop that top, very top off?
Little-
too?
Yeah, the green out.
Don't need the
Take
green.
that off.
okay.
Yeah.
You could get in Lightroom and do like a guided
Crop,
straightening, you know, and it'll purposely.
Oh,
yeah,
like use the horizontal.
Yeah, you use a horizontal tool where you
Yeah.
put one line across the top of the whatever those willows are, and then one straight across the water line, and it'll skew it, but I don't know if it would make the birds go crazy.
Make the next longer.
they're really long neck.
But I like the colors, I like the warms and the cools together. That's
Mm-hmm.
well done there.
And the colors, I will say this too, Chuck can say, I think they look better here on this screen than they do up there.
Yeah, it's a little bluer on the screen, on the TV.
Yeah, it's not as blue.
It's more, a little more
Right.
gray on this screen.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, I don't know, it's, the topaz effect on it, I think on this one in general is just cool. I like how that bird is completely out of, like, you know what it is, but it's completely out of focus.
That was intentional.
You guys both have Macs?
Yes.
I don't wanna get too off topic, but I just wanna ask. What color profile are you looking at your Macs on?
Well, I'd like to say I've calibrated mine, but I haven't.
No, so if you go to, okay. yeah, fine.
Yeah,
What color space?
it might be sRGB, it might be, but I have to look and see. I have to.
sRGB is a little bit more saturated than like the iMac color profile. So I was just,
Okay,
I was
okay.
just curious.
So should we be using iMac or the?
Different profile.
Well, that's what I'm playing around with right now on mine is, I'm toggling back and forth between iMac and sRGB. So I was just curious as how it's being protected up here.
Oh, this is probably, who knows, because the TV's doing whatever it's doing, I think.
Yeah.
I think the TV's interpolating it to whatever. That's mine too.
That looks so good with the moon.
Now, I did take some moon pictures.
No, that's a nice picture. Is that 5 different, you composite it?
No, they
That's
were
how
all
it
like
was?
that, and the title of this is at 5 or 6, because if you look at it, I think it's 6.
Yeah.
So the one in
yeah.
the middle,
What happened with the one on the bottom right?
look at it, it's got
Two
It's got
heads.
2 heads. And I was shooting, I went there and I'm like, oh, everybody's, since everybody, I have pictures of the cranes and they're sharp or sharpish. And I wanted to do more with the motion blur, just do something different, because anyway, that's what I was doing here. And this was actually a big group, but I saw these guys in this, like in the image, and I said, oh, that'll be good with just the way they're spaced. But no compositing or anything. That's how it was, obviously, other than some adjustment on the color and whatever.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it is cool.
So-
Does that bird really have 2 heads or is that one behind?
I
the
think
other?
there's one behind
There's one
it.
behind
Oh,
you, just
okay.
can't see.
I didn't want to ask.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, nature is a weird
These just got shipped over from Chernobyl.
They're Russian birds.
The one in the middle,
Uh-huh.
I know it's a wing above it where the dark spot is,
Yep.
but I don't know, it almost looks like a dirt spot.
But it's, yeah, it's the blur
I play
from
with
the
it, and, like, see what it looks like if you.
cloned it out. Okay, I see what you're
I
saying.
think there's enough motion in this that
You could get rid of it.
most people are gonna automatically know that that's the wing.
Sure.
And I don't think it, like, it doesn't,
Hmm?
it doesn't
Like
bother
that.
me, because I see the
Make it
motion
more
around
round.
it.
Think maybe darken it a little bit or take
Make
it
it
I think
out.
if you got rid of it, it might look odd with just.
That's what I was wondering,
One
too.
wing on, yeah.
Well, he goes with the two-headed bird. He's a one-winged bird. with two heads.
Chernobyl arms.
Was the sky white?
Yeah, it was in the evening and the sky was pretty, yeah, it was gray flat day. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
The morning was blue sky, but that was not,
I don't even think I shot on that day.
yeah.
or That.
I was
Is
just
it-
trying to do
Is
the
that in
motion.
Nebraska or?
No, that was down in Alamosa.
Alamosa?
Yeah. It was just, again, I wanted something different than just the standard. I got a billion pictures of cranes and yeah, they're kind of sharp. I always use
Bruce,
that word.
did you enter this one into the Exploring the Light show?
No, because we just took these a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago.
this was afterwards, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because this would have got in, I think.
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
images I submitted, you guys saw, there was the animals under the tree and trying to think, and everybody liked them, but Don didn't like them. I got nothing. I got
Don
the
likes-
wildlife
Don
photographer,
likes trees in Kansas.
apparently. She likes that old tree, but anyway.
See, that's the thing, when you know that there's a wildlife photographer, you have to enter something totally different.
Well, I did
Right.
one kind of landscapey one, but didn't happen.
That's why I did that Pueblo.
Was that yours, the one with the ladder?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How did you process that?
Well, it was in color, but then I used topaz to bring out all of those details.
Because the edges of the building were all jiggy,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, I used topaz on that.
And that's great, like, if you like that, but like the judges, they don't know that that was your intention, and so they look at it and be like, what happened? So,
Well, I almost was thinking about painting the edges out
yeah,
to the original and then leaving the rest of it, but I
yeah,
didn't do
that's a really nice image, when you stand back and look at it, it's really nice. Yeah, we enjoyed that one.
All right,
Good job, Bruce.
thank you.
Yeah.
Which one was
And then this is,
House,
this is
Pueblo.
my,
More Sandhill Crane.
yes, more standard. And again, I flipped them. They were going the other way. I flipped them. And then, I don't know, I went black and white and that, they, again, not composited. That's how they were. There were three birds just like that. I mean, they were,
It looks like a pencil drawing.
The hike.
I would even go a little bit more high key on it.
would you?
Yeah, I mean, I would push it for sure. I'd say many different options, but yeah.
I just thought it was cool because when I looked at it, it's like,
Yeah.
holy cow, they're all doing the exact same thing. Brighten it up? Okay.
Yeah.
Crops
This one does
okay?
really well in the high key. I
Yeah.
think that looks really
Yeah.
good like that.
great.
And about this far over, there was a moon, but I tried and tried, but I could never get them in front of the moon.
I'm sure you had to bring them back.
You're high key and you're mooning.
Yeah, no. I don't know. Again, I was trying to go for just some different stuff and
That's cool.
Yeah, no, you did really good. I hope you don't enter any wildlife competitions next year during the club.
they're within the 2-year period, so I'll be all right. All right, thanks.
Yeah, good
I
job.
like that one.
So this is one that I did, and the story on this one is there's no dog in it. So I'm experimenting a little bit with just with the people thing, and we had somebody else who asked me if I would take some pictures of their group over at a restaurant, and so I brought in a light and a softbox and a backdrop and a backlight, and kind of in the corner of the private room of the restaurant or whatever, kind of set that up. So not purely a studio setting, but try to do what I could in a restaurant area or whatever in that. So again, sort of new to the people photography, but I thought I'd throw this one out there just for, see what people thought. And it does look like, as far as those bright spots on the face and so forth, more so on there than it does on the screen. On the screen, it's a little bit softer. There's still a little bit of brightness there, but not as harsh as it is up there.
It's good, you got kind of almost a Rembrandt triangle on the shadow side, you got shadow. So hard to get light up underneath the hat, so you did that really well. And the eyes, you did a really great job on. Puts the intensity in there without them looking too neon.
Did you vignette it a little bit? Just try it?
You know, I didn't, there's sort of a little bit of a natural vignette that occurs just because I had a single light behind, shining towards that backdrop. And that might actually be a little bit too bright if I wanted to take that down some, if that's competing with the rest of it. But with that, it had kind of a natural vignette. I thought if I put too much more into it, it would just make that bright spot in the back look too bright.
Yeah, I mean, you could just take the whole image down and just.
Yeah,
You could turn them too, so you get rid of the button.
yeah, I could take, I thought about
Or
that.
you could just-
On the button, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
One would never know.
Or make it's there, just turn them. Or make the button a smiley face.
But see, John, that's the selfie side. That's the selfie side. You ever, when I walk up to a model, I go, what's your selfie side? They all know their selfie side, because they just, that's my best side right there. So they always turn the same way. Every single time.
Weird how.
It's just, yeah.
Does he wear his hat that way, or was this just a prop, or?
You know, he had that hat. I took a couple shots of him without the hat. And then as he walked away and somebody else was going to step into the scene, I saw him put the hat on. I said, hey, wait a second, come back over here and do that. So I don't, he had the hat with him. I don't know if he usually tilts it that way or if that's accidentally got put on that way.
I was thinking a little more character, if it had
A little bit more tilt?
angle to it,
Okay.
something, yeah.
Right. Good thought.
So I'm just curious, how old do we think this person is? Because I'm going with like 16.
No,
Wrinkles under the eyes.
It's like mid,
mid-30s.
I think somewhere around 30ish. Kind of,
Really?
yeah.
You see the flat brim of the hat, to me,
Yeah.
like, when you first popped up there.
Yeah.
I saw major pain.
Oh, yeah.
Was he your drill sergeant?
So thanks for the suggestions. I think we're down to just a few more left.
This is mine. Can you hear me?
Matt Gates.
Can you hear me?
Let me mute you, man.
Yeah, you're up.
Okay, go ahead. You should be able to talk.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right.
Okay, yeah, so this is mine. This is out in Yellowstone. Did my first Yellowstone winter trip back in January. So one of several attempts at some of these trees. You have the ore frost or whatever it's called in the morning. Really just curious overall thoughts on composition. I kind of smoothed out a little bit of the foreground, some of the rough areas, but wondering if maybe I should have done more and perhaps maybe if, cropped in tighter. I can't decide if I like that. The kind of the break in the trees in the upper right corner, or if that distracts from it. So kind of those are my key thoughts, and just interested in overall thoughts about the composition.
I think I cut the top off. So you have
Yeah,
that
crop-
green.
Tighter crop.
Crop around the tree so that only there's no white in the upper right corner.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
And the fog and the really cool.
Yeah.
I like the fog the way it is. What, so Yellowstone in January, what was the temperature about that point?
For this picture, I think it was -12.
Wow. Yeah, looks cool.
We're at a speed like.
Nice. I mean, I love the frost on the tree too, and how that contrasts with the nice detail on the tree bark, the tree trunks.
In hindsight, I think would have been nicer to get maybe even a little bit closer and lower, but it was quite a trek to even get to this point. So I think it is what it is, I think.
And then on the top of the tree on the right-hand side, there's a black spot. I think it's just a hole in the branches, but you see it. It's just a
Oh, yeah.
black spot.
So maybe clone that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool.
And another one that looks a little bit better on the computer screen than up. It looks great up there, but it looks even better
It's
on
not
the
as blue on the screen.
right. There's
Yeah.
more blue up there. It looks softer colors here on the computer.
Was the fog there?
Dave asked, is the fog there? Was that fog was naturally there?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and if I actually first drove by this, you couldn't even see the trees. The fog was so thick, and I took this on the way back out and then it thinned out a bit.
Yeah, it was that fog that froze to those trees, right?
Yeah, I've got a few others of these trees. The trees are all really cool looking in the morning.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. So this is mine too. It's Balastrock and Arches. Most people here probably know this area. I've really struggled with what to do with the foreground, and partially I did a couple of things. This one was the actual foreground that came out of Sequator after I did the star trails with it. The foreground looks different on every screen I've tried it at. I also had a foreground where I did some artificial lighting on it, and I just really could never get it to where it didn't look like it was completely just painted in with the artificial lighting. So I like the natural better, but even now looking at the zoom, it looks really blurry, the foreground, whereas my actual native picture looked a lot more clear. You can actually see the crevices, the cracks in the rocks. So I guess that was my biggest struggle in this one, is really how to handle the foreground. I don't know what it looks like on your screen there, but even looking on the zoom screen now, it looks much more blurry than it did with my natural picture.
Are the caps?
Yeah.
So, hey, Matt, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Hey, so have you tried making the star trails in Photoshop?
I've not done this Photoshop. I just usually use Sequator for it.
Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. So whether it's Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw, select all the images that you're going to use for the star trails, and then select them all, and then load into Photoshop layers. And then once they're all loaded into Photoshop layers, select them all. So make sure the top one is selected, and then just go down and shift click on the bottom one, and that'll select them all.
Mhm.
And then change the blend mode to lighten. See how that works.
Okay.
Because you got little gaps.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
stars
do
trails.
see some gaps in the stars, but I think that will help with your foreground.
Okay. What do you think about other than the technical aspects, the composition of this? I was kind of torn between leaving it as it is or cropping in further on the right, because one thing I really liked about the composition, it almost looks like, a head staring into the core of the star vortex, if you want to call it that. So I thought about cropping it in further from the right.
I don't think you need to. Well, if you did crop it in further from the right, I would just only go until that shadow on the very top part of the rock is gone.
Okay.
Black, like an oval that looks like a shadow. Maybe
Mhm.
just crop that. But the way that the stars are positioned, it's like almost a full circle. So
I feel like I don't want to crop any of that out.
Okay,
I think if you play around and get your foreground the way you want it, I think you'll be okay with the composition that you have.
okay.
How long was that exposure? I mean,
It's a bunch of little ones.
How many?
bunch of
Yeah.
little ones?
Yeah, I think these are 1 minute long exposures, and it was a couple, it's one of those nights where I had 2 or 3 different areas I wanted to try and ended up with this one by accident, so did it as an afterthought and probably should have done longer.
So I get why you would take a lot of little ones for stars that you don't want to have motion on and get rid of noise. What I don't understand is why you would just do an hour-long exposure to get continuous trails.
Well, so.
You get a lot less noise with shorter, doing more of them, but I just didn't do enough of it, I don't think, but do hour long or 2 hour long, you get a lot more noise from my experience.
Yeah, and like, I think that some of his weren't exactly back to back because there are gaps. I see gaps in them. Like there was a big space, but if you do it back to back to back to back, then you don't get the gap. And you can do way more with 100 single ones. Yeah. Than with one hour. And there's software that'll actually help you fill those in. What's that?
You do that on all, or you do the 30-minute or 30-second?
Like just
30-minute.
like bulb or on my 850, I have something called time. I just press it once and then it'll stay open until I press it again.
Just taking multiple shots of, like you said, 30
Oh,
seconds.
For this.
Right, right.
Yeah, just put your camera on a continuous mode and then 30 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever it is. And then just press your shutter up and lock it, and just let it run back to back to back. Yeah, and then you put these images together in Photoshop or Simulator. I would
Usually go like an
I don't go by how many images, I go by how much.
Time.
Last one might be usually an hour, so at least an hour. Yeah. Hour. Depending on what lens you have.
Is that the last one?
Usually a 14 to 24.
Yeah. Yep, that was it.
Good job, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to everybody for the images and the commentary in that tonight. I thought was great. Great feedback, great,
Started out a little rough.
great. But no, again, I enjoy these exhibition nights, just the comments and critiques on my images and also just some of the things that I get to hear on some of the other ones is always real helpful. So.
So, and again, I'll post this probably the next day or two to YouTube. Unfortunately, we were 10 minutes.
Yeah, I apologize for the few, I think the first 4 or 5 images or something like that we missed. The first 4, we missed the recording, but we'll have a recording out for the rest of those soon.
All right, for those
Okay.
who are online, I think we're gonna end it.
Yeah, thanks again for joining. And again, the next presentation night on the art of urban landscape photography, that will be in 2 weeks on April 20th. So hopefully we'll see you either in person or we'll also be doing that one on virtually as well.